Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to our series on the 10 Commandments of Digital Missions. I hope you've been enjoying yourself so far and you've been learning something as we've been going. To recap, we've been talking about your target market, your content strategy, all these different kinds of things, more from like a meta level, kind of giving you a big picture view on what it takes to have the vision and direction to begin your channel. But in this episode, we're going to go more towards the micro. We're going to be looking at the nitty-gritties of how to optimize every single piece of content that you're going to be putting out. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the fifth commandment, which says, "Thou shalt optimize thy thumbnails, titles, and tags and keep them consistent." We talked about in a previous video how sharing a video only gets you so far. Putting it out there on your social media might be valuable at certain times, but generally speaking, this is not the best strategy for growing an audience on YouTube. We've talked about the importance of treating YouTube as its own native platform, and this is where it comes in handy the most. There's this little thing that you've probably heard about before called the YouTube algorithm. It's basically this mathematical formula that weighs a number of different things, like numbers of views, number of likes and comments, the title, the thumbnails, the tags, all of these different things, and that weighs all of these different components together, and it determines, should we promote this video or not? And a promoted video can show up on the home page in suggested videos. It'll do better in search, and this is basically how most people find your video. Most people will find these videos through a related video or through a search engine. And so really having a solid strategy when it comes to your thumbnails, titles, and tags will help you perform in these two areas better. It'll help you do better in search, so that way when someone types in the question, they're more likely to find your video in, like, say, the first 5 videos that are related to that question, and you can find new audience members that way. Or let's say they type in a question, they find someone else's video, but at the end of that video, you become one of the videos that is suggested on the sidebar. Those are two of the most important ways that you can find a new audience. And so knowing how to optimize your titles, thumbnails, and tags is super important when it comes to growing an audience. To begin it all starts off with your research. We talked about in our last episode how you don't want to just come up with an idea, put it out there, and just hope and wish for the best. But you go through things like Google Trends, through YouTube search, and you're trying to find subjects that people are actively choosing to engage with, whether that's they're searching for it or these videos have a lot of views already, historically speaking. You want to find cues and clues that this video, if you make a video on this subject, it's going to perform well. So that way you're not spending hours and hours and hours on a particular video that no one ends up seeing. So make sure you first do research and you have clues to know that this video will in fact work. But with that said, let's go ahead and turn our attention over to thumbnails. What are some best practices when it comes to thumbnails that can help you do better? First mistake that I see a lot of people doing is that they don't think about where the end user will be seeing those thumbnails. You're likely going to be working on your thumbnail on your computer, and as such, you're going to blow your thumbnail up, and so that we can see all the little details and try and create your thumbnail. But many people forget that the average viewer is watching a YouTube video on their phone today, not on like a TV or computer. And so what that means is that your thumbnail is actually going to be much smaller than most people realize. And so if you have like a huge body of text, or if the image isn't like blown up big enough, then a lot of times what happens is people can't even tell what your thumbnail is about. So realize that your thumbnail is going to be on a much smaller piece of real estate than you might actually imagine. A couple principles that I've learned over the years that have really helped out as well is to think about this, is that most human beings prefer to connect with other human beings. And when they're looking for content to watch, whether that's educational or inspirational, or it's just entertainment or whatever type of content it is, we want to see people in the video that look and sound like us, or we can relate with a little bit. So instead of making a thumbnail that's basically like an entire paragraph of text, that's not going to work very well, because someone's just going to see that, their eyes are going to gloss over, and they're just going to keep swiping and finding a different video. So instead, one thing that I would really encourage you to do is to include people in your thumbnails. But specifically, what I want to challenge you to do is to make sure their faces are large enough that you can actually see the whites of their eyes. I remember a year ago, I paid like $500 for 1 hour of consultation from a YouTube guru. And the number one piece of advice that he gave me with my thumbnails because he saw my face in the thumbnails, he said, make sure your face is about 25 to 50% larger. And that was the number one actionable piece of advice that he gave me. He says they need to be able to see the whites of your eyes in a thumbnail that's that small. And so making sure that there's personality, making sure that the face is large enough, that really goes a long way. The other thing that's really valuable when it comes to a thumbnail is you want to try and tease a value or tease a story, whether that's a sermon, that's a Bible study, a question and answer, it's going to be a vlog, whatever it's going to be. You want to kind of pique the curiosity of your viewer. What is going on in that picture? What is going in that thumbnail? If it's a travel video, where in the world are they? Because that scenery looks amazing. You want to try and tease a value, tease a story. And so incorporating that principle with a face that can oftentimes include an emotion. Are they angry? Are they surprised? Are they laughing? What is going on in the story that makes me want to click in to learn more about it? The last thing is to try and leave not only a value or a story, but to also to leave a question in the viewer's mind. How will they be responding to the thumbnail? You want them to actively think about the thumbnail rather than just be like, oh, cool, and keep going. The more that you can stop and interrupt that swiping motion that people are generally scrolling through on YouTube, the better off your video has a chance for success. All right, with that said, let's think now about our titles. Titles are the second most important part when it comes to your optimizing for search or related videos. Two mistakes that I see a lot of people making. Number one is that they include dates in their titles, like sermon from January 26, 2016. Like, no one really cares about that. There are only a few situations where a date actually makes sense. Like, I think back to 2012 when the whole apocalypse was going on, these end of the world situations. There may be certain times where dates actually lend to the value of the title, but most often cases, a date is just wasted space. So when you're thinking about your title, you're wanting to think of what are the keywords, what are the things that people are searching for, what are the things that my research has shown people find of interest. Leave out the dates, it's not very important. The second thing that a lot of people add that doesn't really add value is a numbering system, like sermon number 63 or vlog number 52 or something along those lines. I understand that a lot of churches, they might do like a part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 on a given like month long series. And that's okay. You can do that on YouTube as well. You can definitely do a series, add it to a playlist. That way people can binge watch multiple videos in one sitting. But putting part 1 of 4 really isn't super valuable for the most part. Something that I want you to kind of shift your paradigm on. It might be great if every viewer would start at the very beginning of your channel, watch episode 1 all the way to 100, start to finish. But the reality is that's not how most people interact with your channel and will interact with your content. Most of the time, they're going to find like number 65 or some random number in the sequence, and that's your only opportunity to actually reach them. So when you're putting together a video, when you're thinking of your title, I want you to have the perspective that, this video might actually be the first video that a new prospective audience member finds out of my entire library. So you want to avoid this kind of language that this video is only for my audience and for nobody else. And including like a sequence number tends to do that, because who wants to watch part 3 out of 4 on a series if they haven't watched number 1 or number 2? So go ahead and leave the dates out, leave the sequence number out. What are some things that you want to include? Again, we're going to be thinking about our research. We're going to be thinking primarily about what are the subjects that people are looking for, and your best tool for this is the YouTube search, because that already demonstrates that people are looking for and are familiar with the language of that particular search phrase. So your title wants to either be an exact representation of one of those autofill solutions, or it wants to be like a very close variation that is even more enticing than what is actually listed in the question bar. So, it might be the same subject, it might be the same theme as the search is, but your title could still be an upgrade from that, and it'll still perform well in the search bar there. Another thing that's really helpful to do when you're thinking about your title is I want you to be looking in your homework, what are other people who are making content around the same subject doing with their titles? try to pay attention to the trends. Try and pay attention to what other creators are doing on the platform. And this will actually help you do better when it comes to related videos as well. Now, one key metric that you're wanting to look for is the views to subscriber ratio. My research has showed me that on average, a kind of a normal video is going to be fairly successful if it has about 5 to 10% of the number of subscribers watching that video. So to break that down practically, if you have 100 subscribers, you can, generally speaking, expect about 5 to 10 views per video. If you have 1,000 subscribers, you can generally expect about 50 to 100 views. You're not going to get a 1-to-1 ratio with every video that you do. But when you do find a video that has like the number of subscribers here and the number of views equal to or higher than that, you really want to pay attention, because that is an anomaly. That is a really good sign that they nailed it on the head when it came to their tags, their thumbnail, and their titles. Somehow their content was positioned in such a way, all the metrics were positioned in such a way that YouTube said, hey, this video is in fact valuable. And so when you're paying attention to those things, you want to clue in on some of those trends. Are there several videos in this subject that they have common threads and common themes that you can also include in your title as well? And that way you can also be given an opportunity to be included in kind of the suggested videos. So another thing that's really helpful when it comes to your title is you don't want to just give away the answer to your question. You don't want to just give away the punchline in your text of the title. You want to leave the viewer thinking, that's interesting, or I wonder where they're going, or really, I never thought about it in that way before. You want to have some kind of response to it that gets them, again, intrigued in the same way that your thumbnail might do. Your thumbnails and your titles work really closely hand in hand together. You don't want them to be completely identical, so you don't want to see how to study the Bible for beginners on the thumbnail and how to study the Bible for beginners in the title. You kind of want them to be parallel, not stacked on top of each other. Okay, so the third thing that we're looking at are common tags. Tags, again, are super important. The first thing that you want to do is to make sure in your entire YouTube channel that you have a common tag from every single, like literally all of your videos have one common tag. So for me, the tag that I have in all of my videos is JQ. That's short for my name. But I know that that's a tag that no one else is going to be using on YouTube. But what it does is it gives YouTube an indicator that this video is related to all the other videos that I have as a creator. So if someone watches one of my videos, there's going to be a greater chance that the suggested videos are also from me because of that mirrored tag. So have a tag that you have that's consistent across all of your videos. Another thing that's really important is you don't want to just tag irrelevant things. A lot of times people will just tag one-word things like video or vlog or fun or sun or just random things. And your tags are key metrics, and you don't want to just waste that input. You have a limited number of characters you can use in a given video for your tags, so don't just waste it with random tags. In fact, I would say don't waste any of your tags with just one-word tags. Generally speaking, one-word tags are going to be very, very, very difficult for you to rank for. Think about it this way. If you try to rank for the video phrase or the search phrase funny cat videos, there's going to be videos out there that have literally hundreds of millions of views. The chances are that you get that are very, very slim, if not 0%. And so what I like to encourage people is to try and find search phrases that are ideally at least 4 or 5 words. So, how to study the Bible might be a good place to start. But how to study the Bible, even if you're beginning, is still what's going to be more competitive. There's going to be a lot of other people that have created content out there that already try to solve this problem. So instead of just going with those 5 words, what are some other words that you could add to that search phrase to make it a little bit more specific and lessen the amount of competition that you have for search or for related? So instead of how to study the Bible, you could, for example, do how to study the Bible for teenage boys. That's a way to narrow it down a little bit and remove some of the competition. Or how to study the Bible for first-time believers or something along those lines. You're going with longer phrases than shorter phrases in your tags. And that's also going to be reflected again in your thumbnails and your titles. They all work hand in hand together. Another thing that you can do is to find different permeations of the same tag. So for example, with the how to study the Bible concept, you could do how to study the Bible for yourself, how to study the Bible for beginners, how to study the Bible for women, how to study the Bible software, different things like that. And ideally, you're making a video on each and every one of those things, but these are different ways that you can include relevant tags. So the idea is, if someone watches how to study the Bible for women, and then there's another video that you have on that series, they're likely to engage with your piece of content as well. So in general, your videos are positioned to show up both in the search engine as well as related videos, both that you create for yourself, but also related videos that other people are having on the platform. And so some of my viewers actually come from other channels, but I've made content that is similar to some of their best performing videos. And as a result, when they watch their piece of content in the related videos, they find my piece of content and then they like what they see, the value is there, and then they start to follow my channel. But there you have it. There are a couple of the tips and tricks that I try to use in every single video that I do. This is something that, it's going to take time to really get right. And one of the factors, this might be a little bit discouraging for you guys, but one of the factors when it comes to the algorithm really is your channel authority. And you think about this makes a lot of sense. If YouTube is going to see one creator, creator A and creator B, they create the identical video, but creator A has 100 videos in their library and creator B only has one video, who are they going to promote? They're going to create the one that has a greater library of content because there's more for people to watch. So don't expect to see like immediate results with this right away and have like a viral video on your first video. You're going to need to put in the time. You're going to need to do multiple pieces of content. But if you do this consistently and you do it well, you're going to see results. You need to have two pieces in order to be successful on the platform. Number one, you need to have great content, right? You need to have content that is valuable, that answers the questions, that meets people's needs, that makes a difference in people's lives. It's optimized with thumbnails, titles, and tags. But number two, you really need consistency when it comes to putting content out. So don't get discouraged if you don't see results right away at the very beginning of this journey. Keep at it, keep working hard, and you will see results. This is exactly the strategy that I went when I first started my channel, and it was cool to see that when I first put out my first, like, say 4 or 5 or 10 videos, I might only get 20, 30, 50, maybe 100 views if I was lucky. But over time, as people found my videos in search and in related, I had a growing audience, and pretty soon I was hitting several hundreds, if not several thousands of views per video. So stay encouraged, hang in there, continue to give your best, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me at justin@thatchristianblogger.com, and we will talk soon. Our next video, we'll be talking about how to optimize your channel page, where it's not just they have one video, but usually what happens is when someone finds one video that they like, they don't just subscribe right away. They go to your channel page and try and see what else is out there that this person has. And we're going to be talking about how to optimize your channel page so that people are more likely to subscribe to your ministry. So we're going to be talking about that next time, and I will see you guys then. God bless.